within the context of the presence of African American people, there exists African American Muslims. People who have been guided to the religion of Al-Islam, actually following an ancestral path. An ancestral path. Our African ancestors who were brought to this country, a minimum of 25% of them, a minimum of a quarter of them were Muslims. There were Muslims amongst the African and African Americans members of the 54th and 55th Massachusetts Regiment forces during the Civil War. During the Civil War, the all-black troops that fought to help make America America. There were Africans amongst them, and African Americans who were Muslim. You have to take my word for it, do the research. People named Muhammad, people named Hassan, people named Abdullah. So whenever I'm somewhere and some ignorant white supremacist fool looks at me as a Muslim and says, you don't like America, you should leave it and go back where you came from, as one guy shouted. I said, no, there are things I don't like about America, but, I'm from North Carolina, man, and when I go back there, I'm still not going to like it. And where I'm from beyond that, I don't know. Unless I take a DNA test or something like, look at all the changes we got to go through, man. Other people in America, you say, where you from? Where your family from? They give you their whole history. Us, we got to go take a DNA test and look for the code, the identification code written in our DNA by law in order to find out where we're from. So amongst those untold millions of Africans, there were millions who were Muslim. So with the fact that when you look at all of the Muslims in America, there are Muslims here from every part of the planet Earth now. But 1/3, a little more than 1/3 of all those Muslims are African American. We're not from any place else. We're not immigrants. When I have that conversation with brothers and sisters from other countries and they keep asking me, no, but but where are you really from? And you have to tell them I'm really from America. As one sister said to me, yeah, I know. We're all American, but where are you really from? I was like, subhanallah, sis, I'm trying to tell you. You know what I mean? Wallahi. So when you go through that and you have to point out to people that there are African American Muslims, we cannot escape the fact that because we're Muslim, that doesn't make us immune from the conspiracy to destroy us as black men and brown men. Yeah, the system is after you and you who live in the community with black people. Amadou Diallo lived in a black community in the Bronx. He was from Africa. He was a good brother, a clean brother. All he did was work, go to school, go to the masjid and home, and he was murdered by the NYPD, 42 shots, because he lived in the black community. So, and some of you say, well, I can solve that. I won't live in the black community. I'll go live in the white community, because really I migrated to America to be part of white America anyway. I wasn't migrating to be here, you know what I mean? Yeah, good luck. You want to be in a white community where they firebomb masjids. You know, you pray Salat Isha, close the door and go home and come back at Fajr and it's ashes where your masjid once stood. So I need to wrap it up. But I'm wrapping it up by reminding you that Allah says, and what I just read in the ayah, you are the best of people evolved. It says, Ukhrijat linnas. You've heard me say this many times before. And I'm trying to impress upon you, this is talking about you and about us. Allah says, you're the best of people, Ukhrijat linnas, extracted. You see translated, say evolved. Okay. It means extracted. It's a passive participle. It means you have a group, humanity, and from them, another group is extracted, like juice from an orange when you put it in that thing, whatever they call it, right? Extracted. So you have this pool of humanity, 5 billion people on the planet Earth, but 1 billion of them are Muslim. And here in America, amongst the missing black men, over a third of them are Muslim. When you go into the prison, there are Muslims in the prison. And most of them don't go into prison as Muslims. They go into prison as non-Muslims and accept Islam once they become prisoners. This is the reality. This is the reality that we face. And lastly, disappearance is one thing. Being rendered invisible is another. African American Muslims in the American public square, in the media, African American Muslims have slowly been rendered invisible in America since 9/11. Prior to 9/11, when you said Muslim, the first face that popped into people's minds was the African American face. All these great African American heroes, the African Americans who stood up against oppression, the African American Hajj Malik El-Shabazz, Malcolm X's, the African American Muhammad Ali's, the African American Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's, the African, when you said Muslim, people say, oh yeah, I know about them. The African Americans who were in court in New York State, fighting brothers, fighting for the right to have beards, to wear beards on the job and not have somebody tell you gotta shave and all that kind of thing. You should go read the case histories. There's African Americans fighting those fights. African American women wearing hijab when other Muslim women were afraid to wear hijab in America 50 years ago. Now people got niqab on and everything else, all the women. They go busting in a place with niqab. They're not concerned just with a kimah. Man, I'm putting the kimah on and my niqab, and I dare you to mess with me. Because every time they do it, they get sued and the sisters win. So I'm not saying this to say African Americans are better than anybody or any of that type of stuff. I'm talking to you as mature people so that hopefully you understand that the conspiracy to destroy us is also a conspiracy to destroy Islam, to control it or destroy it. Because as African Americans, man, we don't want to hear it. After all the trouble we went through to get to Islam, being sidetracked and sidewinded and misled and misguided, we this, we that, we get to Islam, we don't want to hear you telling us that we have to take it slow in the manifestation of this religion. We're not here to compromise. We're here to establish. That's our attitude. And you can work with us or don't work with us. No, well, I'm not shaving. No, I'm taking off for Juma. No, I mean, things that people take for granted. Alhamdulillah, Allah blessed us. The public schools will now be closed for one day for each Eid every year here in New York. Takbir. Starting this coming September. Public schools are going to be closed. But it took 35 years of struggle for us to get that. As I told the people in the Muslim school holidays, this is not new. And it started in the African American community. Got tired of being ticketed on the IDs and going through all them changes. And one of those African American Muslim leaders, Sheikh Tawfiq Rahmatullah alayhi, he looked at the situation and he said, listen, man, we need to change this. But we also need to know what battles we can win and what battles we can't win and when to fight whom. That's what he said to us. So he said to his students, he said, the first battle we're going to fight is to get the parking laws changed in New York. So we went through that and we talked to all the other Muslims, and all Muslims of every ethnic group who are part of the Ummah of Muhammad alayhi salam in New York said, no, this is a good idea, let's get it done, and we united and got it done. Then 30 years, 3 decades later, the children of the people who fought to get the parking laws established, they said, man, we tired of being tested in school, man, and on the day of the Eid. We need to change this, and they struggled and got it changed and got it done. America is based on struggle. America as a country is based on you proving that this is what I'm about and I'm not going to compromise. How do you think America came into being in the first place? As one brother said to me, you know, in order to establish America as a independent nation from England, they had to rumble. They rioted, called Boston Tea Party, riot, committed acts of arson, you know, and all of that kind of stuff in order to be free. So when you come to America from some other country, they say, well, listen, man, all right, you can come, but you're going to have to prove that you're about what you say you are about. Because there ain't no punks in this country. That's the attitude. We had to fight, so you're going to have to fight. You're going to have to fight us. You're going to have to fight us in court. You're going to have to fight us in the classroom. You might have to occasionally fight us in the street. But you're going to have to fight in order to establish your way of life before we take you seriously. Muhammad Ali fought in the court based on the laws of jihad. This past week was the anniversary of his victory in the Supreme Court. He fought in court. He quoted the Quran. He quoted the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam wa salat. He quoted the scholars of Islam. And he said, I'm not going. Lock me up, take my money, I'm not going. He fought. He won. And then a few years ago they gave him the Presidential Medal of Freedom. Because they said, man, you gave us a good one, Muhammad. Go ahead with your way of life. May Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala have mercy on us, forgive our sins. Listen, remember where you are, brothers. And remember that Islam is our salvation. Stop playing down your Islam. Stand for what you're supposed to stand for as Muslims. Look like Muslims. Talk like Muslims. Act like Muslims. Protect the women, our women. Oh, man, I got it. Maybe I'll talk about this next week. How brothers are always downplaying and hiding when the Muslim women are out there on front and center. Hijab down, You know what I mean? Manifesting their Islam. And then here we are hiding. Well, here some of you are hiding. As opposed to standing forth boldly as our ancestors did and saying, listen, this is what I'm about. Respect me, get out of the way, or move me out the way. But I'm not going without a fight. May Allah tabaraka wa ta'ala have mercy on us. Subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdik. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Ameen. Wa alka ikama.